April 16, 1945. Radar Picket Station 1, north of Okinawa. The destroyer USS Laffey, DD-724, stands alone in hostile waters. Her mission? Provide early warning of Japanese air attacks. At 8:30, the radar detects something disturbing. Not 5 aircraft, not 10. 50 Japanese aircraft, all kamikazes, all heading straight for a single ship. In the next 80 minutes, the Laffey will survive the most intense kamikaze attack in naval warfare history. 22 kamikaze aircraft will attack this single destroyer. 6 bombs will hit her directly. 5 kamikazes will smash into her hull, and the ship will simply refuse to die. This is the true story of the ship that would not die, and why Japanese kamikaze pilots couldn't believe what they were seeing. April 1945. The Pacific War is entering its final and most desperate phase. The Allies have invaded Okinawa, the last major island before mainland Japan. For the Japanese Empire, this isn't just another battle, it's the last line of defense. Japan responded with kikusui, floating chrysanthemums, mass kamikaze attacks, waves of hundreds of suicide pilots launched against the American fleet. The mathematics were simple and brutal. 1 pilot, 1 plane, 1 ship. The Japanese had thousands of volunteer pilots and obsolete aircraft. The Americans had a limited fleet. On paper, the kamikaze strategy made horrible sense. And it was working. March-April 1945, 36 American ships sunk or damaged beyond repair. Over 4,900 sailors killed, the highest naval casualty rate of the war. The kamikazes weren't desperate, poorly trained pilots, as Allied propaganda suggested. Many were experienced veterans, choosing honorable death over inevitable defeat. And on April 16th, 50 of them received a specific mission: sink the radar picket ships protecting the fleet. USS Laffey was in the most exposed position, Radar Picket Station 1, 30 miles north of Okinawa, far from any support. Commander Frederick Julian Becton, 44 years old, veteran of 2 wars, commanded the Laffey. He had lost his previous command, the destroyer Aaron Ward, to a kamikaze attack months before. He knew exactly what was coming. USS Laffey, DD-724, was a Sumner-class destroyer, one of the newest and most advanced destroyer classes in the U.S. Navy. Specifications: length 376 feet, or 114 meters. Displacement 2,200 tons. Maximum speed 36 knots, or 67 kilometers per hour. Armament: 6 5-inch guns, 12 40mm anti-aircraft guns, 11 20mm machine guns. Crew: 336 men. But numbers don't tell the real story. Laffey's crew had an average age of 19. Most had never seen combat before Okinawa. Some had been at sea for only months. But they had something special: intensive anti-aircraft training and a commander who refused to give up. Commander Becton was known for 3 things: obsessive training of his crew in anti-aircraft gunnery, aggressive evasive maneuvers, and absolute refusal to abandon ship under any circumstances. He had told the crew weeks before, "I'm going to make this ship dance like a ballerina, and if we get hit, we'll fight until there's nothing left to fight with." April 16th, 07 o'clock. Laffey took her position at Radar Picket Station 1. Becton ordered, "Battle stations, all guns loaded, prepare for sustained action." He could feel it in the air. Today would be the day.
08:30. Laffey's radar lights up like a Christmas tree. Contact, multiple bandits, distance 30 miles, approaching fast. Radar officer Robert Carr recalls, "I saw the screen and my heart stopped. They weren't individual dots. It was a solid cloud. 50 aircraft, maybe more." Becton grabbed the intercom. This is what we trained for. They're coming straight at us. Let's show them what Laffey can do. 0842. The first aircraft emerged from the clouds. 22 D3A Vals, A6M0s, and Yokosuka D4Y Judys, all loaded with 250-kilogram bombs, all kamikaze pilots. Laffey opened fire at 12,000 yards, 11 kilometers away. All 5-inch guns firing at maximum cadence. Gunner Tom Fern said, "We'd never fired so fast. The guns got so hot the paint started burning, but we didn't stop." 0844. First kamikaze shot down. A Val exploded at 8,000 yards. Second kamikaze, another Val, disintegrated at 5,000 yards. Third, fourth, fifth, all destroyed before getting close. Becton at the con, hard right rudder, all engines ahead flank. Laffey began to dance, turning, accelerating, decelerating, doing what destroyers weren't supposed to do. Becton was literally making the ship dance. But there were too many aircraft. 0847. One Val broke through the curtain of fire, diving straight for the bridge. "Kamikaze, starboard side!" The pilot was so close the crew could see his face. Young, determined, serene. The 40-millimeter guns hit him 200 meters above the ship. The Val disintegrated, but the engine, 600 kilograms of hot metal, continued its trajectory. Crash! The engine tore through the port deck, killed 3 sailors instantly.
0848. Laffey was bleeding, but fighting. Becton, damage report. Deck punctured, 3 dead. Fire in compartment 3, but under control. Keep firing. 0850. 2 Zeros attacked simultaneously from opposite directions. The gunners had to choose. They chose the port side one. The starboard Zero got through, dropped a 250-kilogram bomb that pierced the deck and exploded in the aft ammunition compartment. Boom! The explosion killed 11 men and started a massive fire. Seaman Ari Futrides. The blast threw me across the compartment. When I got up, I saw flames everywhere, and we could still hear aircraft coming. Before they could control the fire, another kamikaze, a Judy, dove through the smoke. It hit the stern. 250-kilogram bomb plus 3,000 liters of aviation gasoline detonated simultaneously. Laffey's stern exploded. The rudder jammed at 26 degrees to the right. Lost directional control. Ship is turning. Becton, impassive. Then we'll turn. Use the engines for control. Keep firing while we turn. Laffey, on fire, with jammed rudder, began spinning in circles while fighting. 0855. Fourth hit. A Val struck the superstructure, killed the communications officer and the entire radio team. Laffey could no longer call for help. 5 minutes of battle, 4 direct hits, 14 men dead, fires throughout the ship, no rudder, no communications. Most commanders would have ordered abandon ship. Becton ordered, "All guns, keep firing," and they continued.
9 o'clock. The kamikazes realized Laffey was crippled. Like sharks detecting blood, they concentrated all remaining attacks on the wounded destroyer. 16 aircraft still airborne, all focused on a single target. Fifth hit, 0905. A Zero dove vertically. The gunners hit it, but too late. It crashed into the rear gun mount number 3. The explosion killed the entire gun crew, 6 men. The gun was torn from its mounts and thrown into the sea. Seaman Warren Walker was 10 meters away. I saw my friends just disappear. Only steam and twisted metal remained, and another plane was already diving. Sixth hit, 0908. A Judy struck the main deck. Its bomb pierced 3 levels before detonating in the engine room. The explosion killed 8 engineers. Superheated steam filled the lower compartments. Lost engine room number 2. Speed dropping. Becton, keep number 1 running. Don't stop. Laffey was now reduced to half power, spinning uncontrollably, on fire from bow to stern. 7th hit, 0912. Another vol crashed into the side. Didn't explode, just smashed against the hull, creating a 3-meter hole. Water began flooding 3 compartments. Ship is listing 15 degrees to port.
0915. Critical situation. 4 main guns destroyed. Half the anti-aircraft guns out of action. Fires in 7 compartments. Progressive flooding. 31 dead, dozens wounded. Only 1 engine room functioning. No rudder, no communications. And there were still 9 kamikazes in the air. A Japanese commander, observing from another aircraft, reported later, "We saw the American ship clearly doomed. It was on fire, spinning out of control, but its guns never stopped firing. It was disturbing." 8th attack. But this time, something changed. 4 American F-6F Hellcat fighters emerged from the clouds. They were returning from another mission, saw Laffey in trouble, and entered the fight. The Hellcat shot down 3 kamikazes in less than 2 minutes. Seaman Foutride said, "When we saw those Hellcats, men covered in blood and soot started crying with relief." But the battle wasn't over.
9:25. 6 kamikazes remaining. The kamikaze squadron leader, Lieutenant Seki Mamoru, 23 years old, made a decision. Instead of individual attacks, all 6 aircraft would attack simultaneously from different directions. A coordinated final attack, impossible to defend. Laffey's gunners saw all 6 aircraft positioning. Chief Gunner Robert Johnson, "We knew what was coming. 6 planes, 6 different directions. We couldn't stop them all, but we were going to stop as many as we could." 9:27. The final attack began. Gun number 1 targeted the 0 from the right, shot down. Gun number 2 got the VAL from the left, shot down. The 40mm guns split targets, 2 more shot down, but 2 got through. 9:28. 9th hit. A Judy struck the bridge. The explosion killed 4 officers and destroyed all navigation instruments. Commander Becton was thrown against the wall, got up bleeding from a dozen shrapnel wounds. "I'm still in command. Hold your positions." 9:29. 10th hit, the last one. Lieutenant Seki, the kamikaze leader, dove his 0 directly at the center of the ship. All remaining guns converged on him. The 0 caught fire, but Seki held his course. He hit the smokestack. The explosion sent debris 30 meters in the air. Then, silence. For the first time in 80 minutes, no aircraft was attacking. The gunners, deafened by continuous firing, looked around confused. "Is it over?" Chief Johnson, "I counted the aircraft bodies around us, pieces of 22 planes floating in the water, and we were still alive."
0945. Damage check. Killed 31 sailors. Wounded 72 sailors. Direct hits. 6 bombs penetrated the ship. 4 kamikazes crashed into the hull. 1 aircraft engine tore through the deck. Damage. 4 of 6 main guns destroyed. 50% of AA guns out of action. Rudder jammed. 1 engine room destroyed. 7 active fires. 3 flooded compartments. 15-degree list. The ship should have been on the ocean floor. But the damage control team was working. Teenage sailors fighting fires. Engineers keeping the last engine room running. Medics operating in corridors while the ship was still in combat. And Commander Becton on the ruined bridge, blood dripping from his face, said, "This ship won't sink. Not on my watch. Get back to work." 10 o'clock. The battle was over. The fight for survival was just beginning. Laffey was gravely wounded, but the greatest danger now was sinking. 3 flooded compartments, list increasing, no directional power, just 30 miles from Japanese-controlled coast. Lieutenant Frank Manson, damage control officer, organized emergency teams. Emergency sealing on compartment B3, pumping water from the bilge, fires first, then flooding. But they had a problem. The jammed rudder kept the ship spinning in circles. They couldn't sail home spinning. Chief Engineer Robert Dockery had a crazy idea. Use the engines differentially, one forward, one reverse, to force the ship straight despite the jammed rudder. We'll make this ship walk sideways if necessary. Becton, make it happen. It worked, sort of. Laffey began moving in a bizarre, undulating trajectory, not in a straight line, but at least in the general direction of Okinawa. Speed, 6 knots, less than 12 kilometers per hour. Distance to safety, 30 miles, over 40 kilometers. Estimated time, 5 hours. 5 hours sailing in hostile waters without adequate defenses in a ship that could sink at any moment.
10:30. Another crisis. The fire in the ammunition compartment was out of control. If it reached the remaining 5-inch shells, the ship would explode. Seaman John Michel, 18 years old, volunteered to enter the burning compartment. "Someone has to remove the ammunition. I'll go." With gas mask and clothes soaked in water, Michel entered hell. Temperature over 90 degrees Celsius, toxic smoke, metal melting around him. For 40 minutes, he removed 5-inch shells, each weighing 25 kilograms, one by one, passing them to a chain of sailors who threw them overboard. He removed 47 shells before passing out from smoke inhalation. He saved the ship. Medical Officer John Darnell operated in impossible conditions. "I performed 3 field amputations in the corridor, without adequate anesthesia, with the ship rolling. But the men didn't scream. They asked when they could return to their posts." 12 o'clock, noon. List reduced to 10 degrees. Fires under control. Speed increased to 8 knots. Laffey was winning her fight for survival. 14:30. 5 hours after the attack. Another destroyer's radar detected Laffey approaching. Identification confirmed, DD-724. My God, she's alive. Destroyer USS Macomb approached to escort. When her crew saw Laffey, there was shocked silence. Macomb seaman James felt it looked like they'd been bombing the ship for a week. Half the superstructure destroyed, holes everywhere, still smoking, and she was moving. 1500, Laffey entered the safety zone. Repair ships immediately surrounded the wounded destroyer. Medical teams boarded to treat the wounded. Commander Becton, finally allowing medics to treat his wounds, gave one last order. "Strike the battle colors." The American flag, torn by shrapnel, burned in several places, but still flying, was lowered with full honors. Every crew member able to stand formed up on the destroyed deck. There were no dry eyes. 1530. Laffey docked at Kerama-Retto, emergency repair base. Admiral Richmond Turner, commander of amphibious forces, personally boarded. He walked through the ship in silence, saw the bomb holes, the destroyed guns, blood still on the deck. He turned to Becton. "Commander, how is this ship still afloat?" Becton, exhausted, replied, "Sir, I don't know, but I know my crew refused to give up." Turner called a press conference immediately. "What I witnessed today represents the best of the United States Navy. USS Laffey survived the worst the enemy could throw at her. And not just survived, she triumphed." Associated Press reporter sent dispatch. "Laffey
faced 22 kamikazes and won. She is officially the ship that would not die.
Days later, Naval intelligence intercepted Japanese communications about the attack. The remaining kamikaze pilots who observed but didn't attack, aerial reserves, reported something disturbing to command. Attack on enemy ship at radar picket 1. 22 aircraft committed. Ship hit 10 times. Result: ship did not sink. Admiral Matome Ugaki, commander of kamikaze forces, wrote in his diary on April 17th, "Reports from yesterday's attack are confusing. Pilots insist the American destroyer was hit by bombs and aircraft repeatedly, yet the ship escaped. This should not be possible. Either American naval construction is far superior to what we estimated, or the fighting spirit of their crews is formidable beyond comprehension." Kamikaze pilots being briefed for subsequent missions received new warnings. Do not assume that even multiple hits will sink American ships. They are built to survive, and their crews will fight to the end. The attack on Laffey had an unexpected psychological effect. It undermined confidence in kamikaze attack effectiveness. If 22 suicide aircraft couldn't sink a single destroyer, how could they stop an entire fleet? Surviving Lieutenant Haruo Araki, who observed the attack from a distance, was interviewed in 1987. "We saw the American ship being hit repeatedly. Each time we thought now it will sink, but it never sank. Its guns never stopped. Deep down, I think we all knew at that moment we had lost the war. Because if such a spirit exists in every American ship, how could we win?"
USS Laffey never sank. After extensive repairs, she returned to service in June 1945, just in time for the war's end. But her story was just beginning. Laffey served through the Korean War, the Cold War, until being decommissioned in 1975. 30 years of service, never sunk, never defeated. Today, USS Laffey is a museum ship at Patriots Point, Charleston, South Carolina. Over 250,000 visitors per year walk her decks. The bomb holes were left visible, the destroyed guns rebuilt, the battle scars preserved. Because Laffey isn't just a ship, she's a testament. Of the 31 crew members who died on April 16, 1945, average age, 19 years. Youngest, Robert C. Johnson, Jr., 17 years old. All volunteers, all heroes. Commander Frederick Julian Becton received the Navy Cross, the second highest combat decoration. He served until 1966, always keeping a photo of Laffey on his desk. In a 1982 interview, at 81 years old, Becton reflected, "People ask me how Laffey survived. I say, it wasn't the steel, it wasn't the engineering, it was the men. Men who refused to give up when any sensible person would have given up. Teenagers who became heroes in 80 minutes. Becton's ballerina danced through hell and came out the other side. And today, when you visit Laffey and touch the cold steel of her hull, you can feel echoes of that day. The day when 22 kamikazes met a ship that simply would not die, and a crew that refused to accept defeat."